Oh, sure. Yeah.
That I can but
No, not until my kids are grown. Can I get anywhere? I got some cats. You can leave those for a week. Oh, but yeah, Steve's starting at that place.
And then he had
Restore, yeah.
hold
so
on.
I told him.
What's going on here? It's,
Like he knew that.
see if you'll just make
Yeah.
it.
I did said, yeah.
That almost right.
He was just
Oh, that's.
We got it.
Yeah,
So,
there's two apartments upstairs.
We watch it and stay with
Yeah.
we get it and something all of this. And tell the parents.
Stay out of that one now that I'm.
Yes.
You sold it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Do that. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate. I gotta get. Can you hear us, Mary?
Yes, can you hear me?
I can. Let me know when you're ready. I'll unpause the
Jennifer's online.
thing.
Okay, I'm ready. Recording in progress.
Okay.
Okay, I am going to call the meeting to order. I don't have my gavel, but we'll just pretend. This is City Council Monday, March 11th of 2024. Roll call, please.
Mary McGrath,
Here.
Tracy Snyder,
Here.
Jen Mazias. Jen Mazias? I see you, I can't hear you. I'll come back. Tom Nivas,
Here.
Dave Anderson. Here. John Hopkins. Here. Jared Trimble.
Here.
It appears all are present.
Excellent. All right, next is the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, our next item is approval of minutes from the council meeting on February 12th of 2024. Is there a motion?
I'll make that motion to approve the minutes.
Second.
Motion by Tom, second by, was it Dave?
Jared.
Jared, thank you. Any questions on the minutes, comments? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next item is approval of monthly expenditures. Is there a motion?
I'll make the motion to accept the monthly expenditures.
I'll second it.
That was a motion by Tom, second by Tracy.
Yes.
Thank you. Yeah, thanks for confirming these for me because I can't hear all that well. Roll call vote, please.
Jared Trimble,
Yes.
John Hopkins,
Yes.
Dave Anderson. Yes. Tom Nivas,
Yes.
Jen Mazias,
Yes.
her heard you, thank you. Tracy Snyder,
Yes.
Mayor McGrath,
Yes.
all in favor.
Very good. Next item is public comment. Excuse me. Is anyone there tonight or online who would like to make public comment? If you could please state your name and write down your name and address on the form there.
Hi, my name is Irene Blakely. And just briefly, I see that we have a lot of flags down at Legion Park. I'd like to see if the council would be interested in considering replacing one of those with a flag for the state of Wisconsin. Thank you.
All right, thanks, Irene. Anyone else would like to make public comment? And if everybody could just pull their microphones a little bit closer, that would help with those of us online to be able to hear a little better, please.
Hi, my name is Cindy Orley. I live on West Pine Street. I have not been involved with the dogs that are going to be brought up today, but I wanted to make comment about the problem we have with dogs being attacked in Washburn. I've lived here for 3.5 years. The first summer that I was here, the first month I was here, I watched a dog get attacked outside my house that was on a leash. That same summer, my neighbor's dog got attacked by a pit bull that was living in the Nickelworth sheds, and that dog, despite their ardent efforts to get the dog out of the city, it was not taken out of the city. The woman that was walking her dog on a leash again was hurt. I had to take her to the hospital to be attended to, and then a month following that, my own dog was attacked. And my dog is a very kind, gentle dog. She goes to Northern Lights and the Oaks every month to visit the residents there. And she was attacked by a neighbor's dog while I was walking her on a leash. All of the dogs that have attacked have not been contained by their owners. Since that time, I've talked to many people in the city as I walk my dog and meet other dog owners whose dogs have been attacked, and share my my angst about that, because now my dog is defensive, and when a dog that is not leashed, which frequently happens on our walks, rushes my dog will get defensive and try to protect either me or her, I don't know which. And you know, we're put in that situation of danger every time. We can't walk the streets in the city because I don't know what dogs are contained and what dogs are not contained. There are people who have their dogs on leashes outside, but the leashes are too long and they go over the sidewalks and practically into the streets, you know, just short of the streets, but they could certainly get to me and my dog as I was walking the neighborhood, so I don't walk the neighborhood. The other thing that happens is many times, I can't even tell you how many times, my dog has been rushed by other dogs while we're walking on leash, and the comment is always from the owner, and I mean always from the owner, don't worry, my dog is friendly. And I say, but my dog may not be, and she's defensive, and you need to get your dog. And, you know, at this point, I worry that if a dog rushes my dog, she may bite that dog, and then whose fault is that? You know, I've put my dog on a leash, but I'm still responsible for her actions, although I wouldn't consider that to be my responsibility if the other dog isn't leashed. So, you know, this has been 3.5 years now. It hasn't gotten any better, and I just would like to see people be held accountable for their loose dogs, be ticketed if they do not have their dogs on a leash. I'd like to see our sidewalks protected so that people can safely walk in the city. And if there are aggressive dogs, they need to get out of town. And none of the dogs that I've mentioned have been forced out of town. Not the pit bull, not the German Shepherd that attacked my dog, and many others that I've come up against. So thank you for hearing me.
Thank you for your comments. If you have not already done so, I would encourage you to report those incidents
All
to
those
the police.
incidents have been reported. Every
Okay.
one of them has been reported.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? There we go.
Yeah, hi, Susan Hall. I live on Pine Street as well, West Pine Street, just right across the street. I'm kind of here on behalf of my husband because I wasn't present when our dog was attacked. But it was attacked by the beach down off the lake trail. The dog's owner had the dog on a leash, but the dog overpowered her. She fell down and her dog attacked our dog, who was on a leash, viciously attacked it. And so my husband was forced to just be beating it with the leash, so to try to get it off. He let our dog go so she could get away from being bit. The dog and our dog took off up the trail, and he followed her. Thinking that things were okay, he's in the parking lot, and that dog came dragging its leash. Once again, had overpowered its owner and attacked again. Lots of wounds and lots of vet bills. So the point is that owners may not always be in control even if their dog is on a leash. And I don't think that, the ordinance that states potentially dangerous dogs meets the protective requirement for dogs that have been shown to be aggressive. It seems like a misnomer. In order to be underneath that be in violation of that, you have to have, your dog has to have bit 2 dogs. Well, by then, they are dangerous dogs. And any owner who knows that their dog is dangerous should be held accountable if their dog, when walked on a leash, is not muzzled. You just never know what dogs will do, and if you know your dog has been aggressive and bit other dogs, there should be some protection from people, from the dog getting off leash or getting away from the owner and attacking. So I would like you to take a look at the ordinance, maybe check out what the potentially dangerous dog ordinance looks like, and try to get a little more protection for innocent people and children. I mean, I don't know, all I could think of is if a child was in the way of this dog that was attacked ours, it could have been a really different story. So, thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Just want to make sure that people know that there is a public hearing coming up for a specific instance of a potentially dangerous dog. So if you're here for that, we will be having that in a couple more items. Is anyone else desiring to give public comment, just in general? I'm not seeing anyone.
Sound here, so.
Okay, so with that, we will close public comment and move on to mayoral announcements, proclamations, and appointments. Again, I don't really have a lot here other than I just want to draw people's attention to the fact that we do have some frequently asked questions about the upcoming referendum, and it is important for our local residents to understand our referendum going into the election. I don't expect a large turnout at the upcoming election. However, I would encourage folks to read the language of the referendum and read the frequently asked questions so that you understand what it is heading into the election. And I do encourage you to get out and vote so that everyone's views are represented. Other than that, there are some upcoming information sessions and presentations on the beautification committee's findings and with additional opportunities for public input. One is coming up Thursday evening and one is Saturday morning. So if you're interested in the Bayfield Street beautification discussions, I would encourage you to attend one of those if possible. I don't have any proclamations this month, and I don't have any appointments this month. So we will move on to our next item, where I would need a motion to open a public hearing for the Omaha Street Special Assessments
So moved.
for water.
Second.
Was that Dave and Tom?
Yes.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, our public hearing is open. And is anyone here who would like to make comments regarding the Omaha Street Special Assessments for water? I'm not seeing anyone. I'm gonna try to change my view, because it's so tiny on my screen here to see all of you. Okay, so no one is here to give testimony at the public hearing for the special assessments?
No one is present.
Okay, so then I would entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
I'll make a motion to close the public hearing.
I'll second it.
So that's a motion by Tom, second by Tracy to close the public hearing. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. So next, we are looking at potentially approving an engineering report and authorizing them to proceed with the work. Would anyone care to make a motion on that?
I'll make a motion to approve the engineering report.
I'll second that.
And to proceed with the work?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. And that was your second also, Tom?
Yes.
Okay, any questions, comments, or discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, our next item is a hearing and action on determination of a potentially dangerous dog residing at 934 West Pine Street. I don't believe we need a motion to go into the hearing, or do we?
No.
Okay. So, first, we are going to hear from, well, I guess it doesn't matter who goes first, does it?
Yeah, I would say any evidence for reasons for the dangerous dog should go first, so, perhaps Chief Johnson and anyone else who may be in attendance should go first, then the dog owners can make comment.
Okay, anyone with evidence, that they would like to share for the potentially dangerous dog? Hello, Chief,
Hello.
you may proceed.
Okay, well, you guys have been provided the reports. This dog in particular, we had 2 dogs last year that were walking on a leash in the street. And then this year, one of the owners was walking the dog on a leash when it got away from him and went after a neighbor. Actually, it went after a neighbor's dog. The neighbor tried to protect her dog and got bit in the process. So just following the ordinance, the two instances last year were treated as one instance because they were both reported at the same time. The first instance had occurred several months prior, so the owners weren't given an opportunity to be warned and that sort of thing. So we treated it as one instance. Any questions?
And then we have some material in the packet on this as well.
I do have a
With
question.
the photo and incident reports.
Go ahead.
So since the reporting of the incident, what has occurred with the dog owners to take care of the dog so it would prevent any further injury?
I don't know the answer to that question. I just follow what the ordinance says. They were issued a citation, they were given a letter to come to this meeting, which they are here to speak. So I think that's what this meeting is for. You guys have to decide if they have to follow the extra, muzzling and that sort of thing that's laid out in the ordinance.
Any questions about the incidents that were reported? Or what Chief Johnson just mentioned?
I guess I'm wondering if there are other people here that wanted to speak towards the incidents.
So, Mary, are we at a point of getting comment from being down there visiting the dog and the family and things? Is this the time for that?
No, we're just asking questions of the person that just gave their testimony at this point. And then once Chief is done, if there isn't anyone else here to speak with evidence, then we would turn it over to the owners. And then each of them will have an opportunity to rebut anything that the other said, and we will have an opportunity to ask questions.
Okay. Thank you.
So is anyone else here who would like to give any evidence or testimony that they would like to present on behalf of determining that this is a potentially dangerous dog? I don't think I see anyone coming up. So then we would, we'll turn it over to Don or Tessa to come forward.
Hello, my name is Don Benson. Cootie is my dog. And yeah, just having trouble hearing me? What do you got? Okay. Let me know.
Speaking of,
Okay. Oh, is that better? A little bit?
Yeah.
Normally I like to make a good first impression, but you know, there's a lot of rumors going on, assuming you know all the rest, and it's a little difficult to make a good first impression in that kind of environment. So I want to thank the council for giving me an opportunity to address this. Tell my side of the story, as it were. So, living in a small town, you hear rumors. You hear them. It's not out of the question to hear rumors. But I was absolutely shocked to hear some of the rumors. Somebody whose name I don't even know, who I've met maybe twice, came up to me and told me that I have one dog and that she's attacked 5 or 6 people now.
Oh,
That's completely untrue. I have 3 dogs, and none of them have specifically attacked a person. The incident that Chief Johnson was talking about here, that happened between my friend and neighbor Erica and myself. We were talking outside of her house, and we decided that because Cootie had shown so much improvement in the last months leading up to then, that it would be a good idea to try and reintroduce our dogs. We did that. Everything was going pretty well, and then a door slammed. The dog reacted to a noise that she didn't expect, and she went for my neighbor's dog. Erica, being the protective person that she is, stepped in between, and she got a little bit of a nip. I know everyone on the council by now has read the police report and seen the pictures. And yeah, I mean, it's really unfortunate that that happened. Fortunately, Erica and I are neighbors and friends, and we've been able to talk about this. She's had some really good suggestions of ways to move forward to keep the dog from being an issue. And I'm taking those suggestions to heart. We've done them. We're doing them consistently. Thing is, Cootie's a puppy. She just went into her first heat and got spayed early February. She's a baby. She's growing up. She's learning right from wrong. And that is my responsibility. I take it very seriously. And when my neighbors come and speak to me about something that's concerning them on their mind, I mean to address it. I don't mean to pretend that nothing's ever going to happen or that a dog's not going to act like a dog sometimes. Dogs got to be dogs. I get that. And so with that being said, we have taken actions and are continuing to take actions to address it. I know I only have a few minutes to speak here. So I'm going to turn over the specifics of what we do to help control our dogs. Keep them, muzzled, leashed, all that fun stuff to my wife Tessa. She can give you a little more specifics, but please, she's a puppy. Give her a chance to grow up to be a dog before you decide if she's a bad dog. I really appreciate that opportunity. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Chief, do you wish to, oh, Tessa, you're there too?
Yes, I am.
Okay, go ahead, sorry.
Yep, thanks. Sorry. Can everybody hear me? I'm Tessa Wickes, and Cootie is also my dog. I have, I'll say it into the microphone and then I'll pass out the paper, but I have a list of all of the things, the actions that we have made. With the other occurrences, we addressed the containment issues and we now know what to watch for. And so we never open our windows any wider than she can get through. We have replaced the screen door handle with a much more robust closure, and it also has a deadbolt which will be used. We have had a consultation with a professional trainer who did recommend we get her spayed, and then once her hormones level out, she would take her on, and we will do some training. But that takes about 6 months, which unfortunately time just, I can't fast forward. And she will continue to wear a muzzle while we walk. Yeah, and here I will give you these printouts. And I think that's about all I have to say. He's much more eloquent than I am, but thank you for hearing us. I appreciate the opportunity.
I had
Okay,
just,
thank you.
if I could ask a couple clarification questions.
Yes.
The first comments were that there were several different dogs who may or may not have been involved. Were all the reports included in the packet by the same dog of yours?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions?
I actually have one.
Yes.
I have one more clarification. So are you and Don saying that you are advocating for not having the dog labeled as a potentially dangerous dog? Or are you just telling us what happened?
Yeah, I mean, so the city's got rules, ordinances, and procedures in this exact instance, and I don't see any reason not to follow them. I mean, yes, she nipped a person. I understand that. She's been spayed, and now she's going to be muzzled anytime she's out on a leash. And that's what you do when something like this happens. That's called being a responsible dog owner. I don't see any reason why the city shouldn't follow their own rules on the issue.
Sure.
I'm fine with that. That makes perfect sense to me.
Okay.
I mean, unless you guys decide that for whatever reason she's not dangerous, I wouldn't argue with that either. But I'm gonna act as though she could be.
Okay, thank you.
Mary, I have.
Did anyone else have clarifications? Otherwise, we're gonna, first go to the rebuttals before we ask questions.
I had one, I have one.
A clarification, go ahead.
So I asked, Chief, if you had made any changes since the incident, and it sounds like you have. And have you been using a muzzle every time you walk her?
Yeah, and so when you look at her, if you look at the picture there, you'll see that her nose coloration is kind of black and her muzzle's also black. So take a closer look if it doesn't look like she's wearing a muzzle, she probably already is.
I've never met her.
She's just got dark hair there. But yes, she wears a muzzle when she's out on a walk with us, on a leash, obviously. And I do want to thank Cindy here for bringing something up because, I mean, in the last month, we've had 2 dogs come running out of yards off a leash and have attacked us while we're walking too. This kind of stuff does happen, but that's why we want to be the kind of people that have our dogs on a leash and under our control. Because frankly, they're big dogs and some people are really intimidated by dogs. But we've also had 2 of these dogs in town for over 10 years now without incidents because we've had the opportunity to train them up right. And they've had an opportunity to grow into dogs instead of puppies. She's just young. She's learning.
Okay, thank you. Chief, did you have a rebuttal?
Yeah, I have something real quick. I just want to say, I appreciate the fact that they are taking these steps to correct the dog's behavior. And I have no doubt that somewhere down the line, the dog's going to grow out of this aggressive behavior with some training and that sort of thing. However, we've had 3 incidences, and I still think we need to go forward with the labeling of this dog as potentially dangerous. It's not going to change anything. They're still, I mean, right now they're muzzling. That's one of the things that's going to be required as part of this labeling. But in the event that the dog bites somebody again, then we can take another step forward. If we don't label it as potentially dangerous now, then we're back to where we are right now. So, does that make sense?
So if it bit one more person, would it be considered a vicious dog?
Yes. Then the dog would have to be removed from the city. And that still stands if it bites another person. But I'm just saying, if it bites another dog in the future, if we don't label it now potentially dangerous, we're going to be back here next time doing this meeting again. Whereas if we go ahead and declare it potentially dangerous, then we'll take the next steps if it happens in the future.
And besides muzzling, the ordinance states that it needs to be a special pen or closure needs to occur as well when it's labeled a dangerous dog.
I don't think that's listed there as a leash.
Well, no, there's.
That's only when it's left outside.
When it's left outside, it needs to be enclosed.
Be kept indoors or in securely fenced yards.
Yes, and they do have a fenced yard. I mean, it's only a 4-foot fence, but I mean, if they were to put the dog on a lead inside the fenced yard, I think that would fit the definition of security fenced yard.
Which is exactly what we do when she's outside.
Yes.
Okay.
I'm having some trouble hearing, so if everyone can make an effort to speak up, that would be great.
I'm sorry, I wasn't speaking like.
Thank you. Okay, is that it for your rebuttal?
That's it.
Okay, thank you. John and Tessa, do you have a rebuttal?
Not particularly. I think it sounds like we're all basically in agreement here.
Okay. Any questions from council? Go ahead, John.
Yes, I'm aware that good fences make good neighbors, and one of the questions on fences was a city ordinance that there may need to be a variance to about putting up a 6-foot tall fence for the dog. That may be something to consider in the discussion. Plus that I know every dog is potentially dangerous. The only dog I have been bitten by and that has dropped blood has been a Chihuahua. And I have also raised from puppies 2 Pyrenees and a Toy Cross. I raised sheep And I in fact had these as house dogs and with my grandchildren and several other things, they are hard on other dogs. And what we have in the community here, as we have heard, are a lot of loose dogs. I have encountered them even on the walking trail. People think that that's the place to take a dog off leash and let it run. And there are places here where I have a big dog, a big husky, and when we're out walking around, she has had several dogs run at her off leash, and we've had to pull her back and run the other dogs off. So I think we're going to open up within the city here a whole new approach to dogs and dangerous dogs and loose dogs. I think there's a big discussion coming up, and I don't think this is the only dog. Just at the last point here, being the alderman for the District 3, one of them, I went down and talked to the dog and to Tess. And I stood at the fence for 38 minutes with the dog nose right within 6 inches of my, I don't want to tell you too much about it, but below my belt line. And it was one of these things where I rubbed the dog's nose, muzzle, and ears for 38 minutes, talked to her, and there was no problem at all. So I don't think she's a dangerous dog with people. I think that it would be dangerous if you got in the middle of a dog fight with her, which I think is probably what happened. But I am aware also we have children in town here that come up to you with the idea that they want to pet all the dogs. And I've been asked many times, and sometimes not even asked, with children running up. I mean, literally running up to pet the dogs. And some of these dogs are big dogs, and we don't need to have children out of control either. So, but we don't put muzzles on them either. But it's one of these things where I think we need to revisit all the way across the board, the whole dog thing in town there.
Okay, for now, we're just focusing on this particular instance though, so do you have any questions for this, for either party?
Well, one other comment, we need to pick up more dog poop, but beyond that, no, I had a talk with the chief here, with Ken. I agree with what he's saying, I don't have any issues with that. And I think that if we have one dog that is potentially dangerous, I think we have a whole community full of them also.
Okay, any other questions for either of the parties?
Tom has one.
Okay, go ahead, Tom.
This is Don and Tessa. You can't put a chain link fence up that doesn't go across the front of your house, a 6-foot high one?
I'll answer that too. It's a zoning question and a zoning issue that's not subject to or the subject of today's discussion.
Well, no, I'm just curious because
The short answer is no, you can't.
Tom, we're just asking questions about today's hearing.
yes,
that
I
we have
know.
right now. So
The
the
dog,
fence is not part of our discussion.
well, the dog wouldn't be able to clear that fence, but you have to put a muzzle on the dog.
When they have to leave the premises.
And it's on, you now have it on a leash when it's in the yard?
Yeah.
Been that way since last year, yes.
Okay. I don't really have a problem with the dog. I know that part of the mix, that whole breed is a flock protection dog, so it's going to have issues with other dogs and other animals. Hopefully, with it being spayed, that ends it. But you don't know.
Well, there's that and further training.
Is there a question?
I was just, that's it, I'm done.
Okay. I have two questions, for Don and Tessa. One, I guess it was Don that had the dog on leash. And is it true that you lost control of the dog? And if so, what will prevent that in the future?
Well, we were introducing our dogs right in front of Erica's house. She brought her dog out, and then basically the door kind of slammed behind the dog, which then caused her to react. I didn't lose control of her entirely. She had a couple extra inches of leash more than I expected her to.
Oh, so you still had control of the leash?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so It's just,
Okay.
it's one of those
That
things
just-
that,
That clarified that. I thought the dog pulled away from you, like, and, you know, pulled the leash away from you or something.
nope, nothing like that.
Okay, and then my second question is, the other incidents that you mentioned where other dogs were off leash and approached your property, were those incidents reported?
No, they were actually off my property, and those two instances are just the latest in a long string. I mean, it's how it is in town. There's dogs all over.
But unless they get reported, I guess my point is we need to know about those. Anytime that happens, if people could make a point of reporting what they see that is happening like that, that would be helpful.
And typically,
If there's a pattern, you know, that will help our law enforcement take care of some of those issues too.
Sure. So typically, I walk my dogs pretty late at night to avoid other people walking dogs.
Sure.
Just to make sure there's no issues. You know, ounce of prevention's worth a pound of cure type of situation. But also, you know, Friday nights, Saturday nights, some people let their dogs out the back door late at night, and you just don't know they're there until they come around the corner of a garage or a house.
Sure.
All of a sudden, they're there. There hasn't been any, like, you know, there's no bites, no blood, nothing like that. They're dogs. They're coming nose to nose and they bark at each other. That's kind of what happens with dogs.
Sure. Yeah.
So,
Okay.
it's not worth reporting considering there's no, you know, there's no injury. Nothing's actually happened.
No, but I think the ordinance specifies that a dog can only be off leash if it's on your property. So if the dog runs off of their property off leash, that is technically against the ordinance.
Sure. Just kind of a side note, I do think John's onto something here. It'd be really nice to be able to put more than a 4-foot fence up in town, and I think that should probably be visited. Especially if this is as big of an issue as what it sounds like, I think it would be worth pursuing that, my opinion. So,
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Any other questions for either party? Anyone? Seeing none, that will end the hearing, and does anyone care to make a motion to take action on this determination?
I will make a motion. I do appreciate Don and Tess all they're doing, and I don't think it's gonna change much. All the things are the same, but I think according to the definition, we do need to make a motion to deem the dog a potentially dangerous dog according to the definition.
Okay, is there a
I'll
second?
second that motion.
Okay, Tracy. Any further discussion? Questions, comments? Hearing none. Hearing none. All in favor of the motion?
Aye.
By saying aye. Opposed? Motion carries. All right. Thank you both or all for your time in working through this and for all your efforts, Don and Tessa, that you've already taken towards making this a better situation. Much appreciated. Okay. With that, we'll move on to our next item. And that is a discussion and action on a request for a dog breed exemption. Shannon Perry is the petitioner on that. And with this one, we have the information in the packet, and this is tab 3 of your packet, and we would need a motion and a second to be able to have our discussion. Does anyone care to make a motion on this one?
I'll make a motion to open up for discussion.
The motion would be to either approve the dog breed exemption request
That's fine.
or deny.
I would be to approve.
Okay, Tom is making a motion to approve the request for dog breed exemption. Is there a second?
Second.
Was that Mary?
Yeah.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second. And with that, are there any questions? Is Shannon there in person, do we know?
she's not here.
No, she is not.
Okay. And then, I guess, then does anyone have any questions or comments?
I do have a question. It says the date of birth of this dog is January 1st, 2010. Is this a 14-year-old dog? That's what I want to know.
Does anyone know that? Or you're just bringing that up that it's a 14-year-old dog?
I guess I'd like to know, but there's nobody here to answer that, so that's.
Looks like an old dog in the picture.
And I can speak to this as far as the organization that provides this certification that was in the council's records. There is no way to affirmatively check the veracity of this document, but it does require any person who applies for this type of certification to certify under oath that they are submitting it and submitting true and correct information. So with the request for this certification for Pablo to be a registered service animal, the owner would have had to certify that the information they were submitting was true and accurate, to the best of their information. Thank you.
Does a certified service animal supersede any local ordinances that would prevent someone from owning said service animal?
Yes, in 2020.
All right, thank you for taking the time, Chief, to go through that. And we'll move on to our next item, which is discussion and action on certified survey map, approval for tax ID 32756 on North 3rd Avenue East, Irene Blakely.
So moved.
Five of your packet. Sorry, who was that?
Mary and Jared.
Mary, and second by Jared. Jen, I'm gonna, oh, there you go. I'm gonna ask you to mute because I think I'm hearing some noise in the background. Any questions on the certified survey map? Seeing none? All in favor?
Aye.
Sorry, no, I made you mute, Jen.
No, it's okay, I'm trying to, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I'm losing my microphone, can't get my camera going, so I like to be on camera, I just can't get my camera going. So as long as you can hear me, I'll just quit messing around. So yes, aye.
Okay, sounds good. Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, our next item is presentation of 2023 library report from Mr. Daryl Pendergrass.
Irene said she was gonna stay through my report, so I hope it lives up to that.
Better be entertaining.
I'm sure it will be humorous. Anyways, I'm here to present the annual report. Every year, public libraries have to do an annual report to the Department of Public Instruction. And I sent you 3 documents, and this is the one with all the numbers and, you know, addresses and so forth and so on. And the question is what do all those numbers mean? And that's why I have the annual report summary. So our total circulation last year, and it says 23,601. That's physical items that left our library. That doesn't account for the 11,128 ebooks and e-videos. It doesn't account for the Wi-Fi that's on, that we've had 7,737. Doesn't account for the 800 guests who attended 114 programs. You know, we do a lot. And we like to think that we run the library. It's not our library, it's your library, it's Washburn's library. If you ever have any ideas or anything we should do, then please let me know.
If you ever hear of anything that we shouldn't be doing, or things that are not going well, let me know. It's nice to see Tessa here, because we just had our seed exchange again. She started our seed bank, boy, it's probably longer than we want to think about, but she started the seed bank many years ago as a volunteer, and we still have the seed bank, and we had a seed exchange on Saturday. I like to run the library where if somebody comes with an idea, we think about how we can make that idea work, not why we shouldn't make it work. And one of the things that we've done this year is we have something called public plates. And some people in town brought in several hundred plates and cups and forks and spoons, and they're in boxes, and you can check them out for your gatherings of weddings or get-togethers. And truly, it goes out a lot more than I thought it would. So that's working. The building itself is good. The ceiling, we had a leak in the roof, even though we just fixed it not that long ago, but we got that taken care of. The elevator's running fine. I'm looking to replace the outside door on 3rd Street and sometime this next year. We have money for that. We don't need any money for that. And then we're looking at repairing the ceiling on the main floor. But on the annual report, so whenever you take your checkouts, or you divide what you spent by your number of checkouts, you get a cost per checkout. And our cost per checkout is $8.27 a checkout. That's it's not the lowest, it's not anywhere near the highest. So it's right in there. And so what you do is you can take that number and you multiply it towards the reimbursable checkouts from the county. And reimbursable checkouts from the county are people from Cornucopia, Herbster, people who don't pay a library tax ahead of time. And so we can ask the county for that amount of money. In 2024, the city budgeted $135,419 for the library, which is about $300 less than last year. But because of the way the formula works, we're getting $62.5 from the county, and last year we got $56. So we actually were able to bump our budget up a little bit, but not to the cost of the local taxpayer. And that's a reimbursable from the county. It's not an upfront money, so it's money we earn, but it's a reimbursement. So what you can do with that annual report is you can come back and look at how much money can we have next year. At 100%, the county would give us 82.3. They're not going to give us 100%. They only have to give us 70, but they're going to give us somewhere in between there. The county's actually very good to the libraries in Bayfield County. Could be 73%, could be 74%. But so the worst case scenario would be 193,636, which would be $5,000 less. Now, I don't want anybody to tell anybody that I said this, but if that were to come to fruition, we'd be okay. You know, we'd be all right.
You'd survive.
We'd survive. Why is everybody making faces? I know that's, but chances are we won't get the worst case scenario. We'll probably be closer to what we got last year than we realized, but you just never know. So that's the annual report. That's what the annual report means. I can tell you that this is my opportunity to thank Scott and Tony and Jerry and Tammy here at City Hall. Max says I've tapped into some policies recently on social media. Thank you, everybody. Another question I've been asked lately is, have we had any challenge materials related to stuff that's been in the paper? I can tell you that whenever that came out, I immediately checked our policies to make sure everything was in order. We had a meeting with the staff to make sure we were all on the same page. Should it arise, the library board talked about it. So if it happens, it happens. We're ready. There won't be any surprises or shocks, and we'll deal with it as it happens. I don't anticipate it, but you never know. Do you guys have any questions of me? Yes.
Yeah, I'm just curious,
what trends, off the top of your head, the top 3 trends? As I was reading through the report, I was like, oh, what's this trend? Like, oh, canopy, are you gonna see that as being used more and more?
Well,
And the online electronic books?
Yes,
That is like exploding.
That's getting more and more. We're also dealing with, we have so much of the taxes are going online. There's a lot, the Register of Deeds, lots of online things, and we're having older people, myself included, that we're having to figure those things out on the internet, and so we are doing that. We do have people that come in and we have to figure out how they can use their phone. Somebody's gotten their parent a phone and nobody knows how to use it, and so we're figuring that out. But see, we're looking at those, and we still have people that come in and ask if we have microfiche. So we have like this huge, everything, and so we try to help everybody get what they want. And the building is used. We had 33,000 visitors. That's high because it does, I have people counters, but it doesn't count that one kid that keeps running in and out the door. So that's a little high. But yeah, and the trends, DVDs are kind of going away. Everybody's streaming everything. Audiobooks are kind of going away. And, CDs, audiobooks, everybody's streaming. And one side note, so I don't know why, other than we get our Wi-Fi from BadgerNet. So sometimes the city's Wi-Fi will go down, and you need to use Wi-Fi, we'll still be up. So just call us, and we'll tell you. We'll say, hey guys, you just call us, and hey, how's your Wi-Fi up? Yep. And then you don't even have to come in the building. You can be out on the sidewalk, or, I'm sure the neighbors get Wi-Fi. That's just how it goes. Any questions? Otherwise, my wife will expect me to be home.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. It's a hub of our city. The library is, our excellence. So.
Yes, you're a revered person that everyone loves and appreciates all that you do, Gerald. Thank you very, very much to you and all your staff.
Well,
everyone is always so helpful.
Thanks for letting me be here too.
Very good. All right, have a good night. All right, our next item is presentation, discussion, and action on renewal of lease agreement for Thompson's West End Park boat ramp area for North Coast Community Sailing. Jacob Kaiser, are you there?
Yes, I am here.
Hello, Jacob.
Hello. So, yes.
Let's see. Sorry, you can go ahead.
Yeah, so last summer we had a really good summer. We had about 150 youth come and utilize the program. We're looking to have a bigger summer this year. About 3/4 of the youth last year were local to the area. This year we've got 6 weeks booked out to summer school programs for both Bayfield and Washburn School District kids to come and participate as part of the summer school programs. We also have received a grant from Tamarack for matching so that we can replace some of our boats as well. So we are really excited to be able to continue to run the program and have it be centered here in Washburn. This is a great place for us to be able to do it.
Nice. Well, we appreciate you running the program and having it here so that our area youth can learn how to sail on this big lake. Does anyone care to make a motion on the renewal of the lease agreement?
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Was that Jared and Tom?
Yes.
Okay. And with that, do we have questions for Jacob or on the agreement itself?
How long is the lease for? Can we make it for like 3 years or some such
That's
thing?
what it is. It's a 3-year lease.
I believe it is for a 3-year lease, yeah.
Yes, so typically, it has been just a 1-year lease, and this year, because of the language in the referendum, this program may be affected. So we put in a 3-year lease for it. The only other change, from last year and the previous leases is the area. So it's a bit larger than it had been in the past, because we rerouted the walking trail to get it out of the area where the boat, classes take place. So they can have a little more room to expand, with their kids.
All right, any other questions? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Jacob. All right, next item, discussion and action on selection of replacement playground equipment for Thompson's West End Park and approval of funding plan. That is tab 8 of your packet. I want to start by thanking the group that has been working on this and for everyone. Does anyone have any questions?
I had a question. Is there any estimates for how much the mulch will cost or the concrete?
No, we don't have that yet. This is only approval of the play system itself, so we can officially place an order. And then once that occurs, I think it will be a better sell for donations because we can showcase the
Yeah.
I guess I got another question then.
So that means the cost that I have down here likely will be higher.
Sure.
Because of that.
Which relates to my next question, pretty much for Jen, because the way to pay for it is through the park fund. I just wanted to make sure that obviously you all passed that, so you're on board with using that money for the playground.
Jared, so I can't hear you perfectly, but I'm assuming you're asking about the funds coming from the designated parks fund?
Correct.
Yeah. Boy, it's just unfortunate, the timing of all this, right? I mean, and this is kind of what the Parks Fund is, the Parks Committee has been developing, been trying to, and it's been on our agenda, and we're starting to get some drafts out there of how we're gonna have a budget for the Parks Designated Fund. And so this amount of money coming out of there, Tony called, this was brought up after our meeting that we had, and so the Parks Committee has not talked about it. And so it will utilize what we were thinking, what would be coming out of the Parks Designated Fund each year. And so, Tony, one of the questions that I had, and I can't remember your answer, was like, at some point, would there be any reimbursement to the Parks Designated Fund? You mean like if we raise enough money? Yeah.
I'm looking at Scott.
So the answer to the question, if there would be any sort of reimbursement, it's going to be a function of how much funds are raised. And if the way we have the proposed borrowing ready to go for the next meeting, it really is going to depend on what happens on that referendum. And so if the referendum is not approved, the borrowing would have $50,000 for this project. If it is, we may have to relook at that whole, if the referendum is approved, we may have to relook at that whole thing and restructure. So that's your answer.
There you go.
So, and that is why then the funding plan is proposed to use the designated fund. because we're still unsure of the funding through the borrowing. And we're already getting an extension on
I saw that.
the costs, so depending on the action tonight, I'm making a phone call tomorrow to the playground company.
So there's a chance that it would not have to come out of the parks designated fund if the borrowing goes through and we get enough money raised. It sounds like, is that correct? Everybody?
At least not a significant portion of it.
Okay. Okay, so does that, but if we don't do the borrowing, then it would be this amount out of the designated fund. And it was really something that I guess we didn't count on as a large expense coming out of the designated fund, to tell you the truth, because I thought it was wrapped up, per se, in the borrowing. And then portions of it would be fundraised. So that's why it kind of, yeah, it just kind of, it was unexpected. I don't think it's, I'm not saying it's not appropriate, but it's not, it hasn't been vetted with the Parks Committee, and this is why we've been trying to develop a budget for the designated fund. So what is the difference right now between the current raised amount, which is $25,000 and change, and the total cost that we know of for the system? What was it?
About 80,000.
So it's an $80,000 difference.
But that does not include the concrete or the wood chips either.
Right.
And if, I mean, we do have Deb here, if she would like to speak about other potential avenues of fundraising that they haven't planned for.
Deb, do you have any idea of how much funds you think you would be able to raise, whether it's through different?
Right now, what we're doing is, we're putting in for a grant through Bremer, and they could give up to $30,000. They could.
Oh, wow, great.
We're looking at, just like Washburn Education Foundation, we're looking at Duluth Superior Foundation. We did send out a few letters to the community, not businesses, but people that might be able to help us. So, you know, and we're looking at a fundraiser coming up May 4th for like a garage sale at St. Louis Social Hall. We're planning on something during Brownstone Days, but we haven't nailed that down because we're trying to figure out what everybody else is doing without, you know, interfering there. So, and then I think another letter maybe with the water bill or whatever, or something to people out in the community, like in our township at Washburn, that didn't get a letter, or out in Barksdale. We might need to do a mailing there and see if we can get some more help there. Oh, in the county too. I think there's a grant we're looking at going through with the county too.
Oh, through the health department?
Mm-hmm, yeah.
Okay. Great. Well, thank you. Really appreciate all your work on this, getting it together, you know, and coming up with a choice based on your recommendations. Having grandchildren that can contribute to that is helpful. Getting the kids' opinions. And for all your work, you know, just getting this whole operation together for raising funds. Very much appreciated.
Yeah, I would
So,
say this is a tough one for me because all three of my kids play down there. I love that playground. I know how bad it needs to be fixed. But I guess I just want to make sure that the Parks Fund is on board for the financing of it, if that's what we're going to agree to in the motion. So that's my own.
I know it's a tough choice because if we don't do this tonight, you know, it affects the price.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
Substantially.
You know, I think it's a timing issue, and I think we have to trust in, you know, the fundraising.
So I guess what's not in here, and it is something that we fund for matching and for these paying the grants that we get, and then looking specifically at budgeting
what we've received through our camping income, which is about $40,000 a year from, that comes in through the campgrounds.
So it sounds like that's would be in line, Jen?
Well, I don't know, I don't know if it's aligned. You know, it's a little bit higher than, I mean, almost $80,000 is about double of what we were gonna spend each year. It all depends on that reimbursement. That's why I asked earlier about the reimbursement, right? Because, so in theory, you know, what we were planning on doing was coming up with that budget for like this year of however much, like Tony says, usually between $40,000 and $50,000 of what we would spend each year. And that's some of the things like that, you know, Jerry, some of the top priority that Jerry may have, like shelters and different things. And then also looking at our comprehensive plan on high priority projects in there and start to chip away at some of these, okay? The recreation plan, that's the comprehensive plan. Part of the rec part of the comprehensive plan. Sure. That's what we were doing for budgeting. And so when you look at taking $70,000 to $80,000, almost $80,000 out of the park designated fund, I guess I can't comfortably tell you that it's consistent with what we were doing. It's high. I'm not saying we shouldn't do it, but I think Jared brings up some good points. And if it's kind of this classic, this is what gets us when we, you know, all of a sudden we're chasing money. And I think Tony's doing a really good job. I mean, this is a really good opportunity for matching. Because if not, I don't think we can afford it. So if we don't do this now, I think we would have to wait until next year's cycle. So there's definitely some consequences to not acting on it at this point. It's just, you know, yeah, I'll tell you I'm torn.
So let me ask this, the 78,000 or whatever it is, would come out of the like $150,000 slush fund that is theoretically being made available for matching projects that have raised funds. So if the fundraising raises, you know, half of that amount, say they get grants and donations to equal $40,000, then ideally that would match more with how it has been done in the past with the matching funds coming in. Well, plus there's already $25,000 of funds going towards the project. I don't know how you figure that all in, but I guess what I'm saying is I'm comfortable with that amount, knowing that they're actively working on, you know, kicking off a bigger fundraising effort now, having come upon a choice of equipment. It'll be easier to work on grants and fundraising. But it is a gamble. It is.
It's a gamble because if you don't get any of that back, that means the park designated fund paid for $70,000 or almost $80,000 of this project, which I'm not saying is a bad deal. It's just a big decision with other things going on and how much. And I think they're doing a great job fundraising. I guess I would have liked to see that matching be a little bit lower, but we're just in this situation. So my hope is that we do get some of this back because we can't. The Parks Designated Fund couldn't put $80,000 into every project, like say the bike park. Say, you know, the things, you know, other big projects, that's all. Right. So I wish we would have more time to talk about it with the Parks Committee. I mean, I'm not saying it's a bad idea, I just think it is a big chunk of money. So I think Jared's asking some good questions and I don't have any answers.
I have a question for Max, as far as the city's responsibility for the to me, some of it is dangerous. And if somebody gets hurt on that equipment, you know, if they get cut by that broken edge of the slide or who knows, you know, what is,
so generally
what is
there's,
the risk there?
there's general recreational immunity for the municipality and any owner. So anyone engaging in recreation is deemed to assume the risks associated with that. And there are certain instances where if the city knew of a specifically dangerous condition or it was otherwise deemed to be inviting vulnerable people towards a dangerous situation, that the city could have potential liability. I can't say right now, without looking at specifics, whether there would be a liability concern, except for the general statement that generally, it's not a concern for playground equipment unless there's a specific known dangerous condition.
So, you know.
But we
just
might
as a
be, from what I hear,
parent,
it's maybe getting towards that point, but I'm not gonna commit to something on the city's behalf without knowing
Sure.
the specifics.
I guess, you know, knowing that that playground equipment is as old and in such disrepair, I feel like we're beyond, you know, we've waited too long to do this. And so that's why I guess I would lean towards proceeding with this and just trying to, you know, get as much funds as we can, but still, we have some responsibility to replace that equipment that is in such terrible condition, so that's just my opinion. I guess I'm not sure if it's if it's a hazard condition, that's been talked about before. I mean, what concerns me is kind of getting into, you know, there's a lot of needs and a lot of priorities. And so obviously this did fall as one of the priorities because it was in the borrowing, which is why I lean towards, you know, I support it too. I just, again, you know, it's just a lot of, it's just a big chunk of money, and it gets back to the prioritization, you know, where, and also, you guys have heard me say this before, you know, we have a lot going on. We have and the installation of this and the next steps in it is big too, and might require some of our public works. And so that's just another thing that I'm thinking about, like, you know, the option really is doing it now to take, because we really want to take advantage of this shared cost. But there is an option to wait a year and do this next year. I don't think it'll be any better next year either, because we're still in our downtown project, but I'm just saying, it's a lot. I wish we had more time. Wish we had more time to make the decision. And I just don't love that it was like, that it's brought up in making this decision tonight, I guess. The timing of it is tough. Does anyone else have questions or comments on this?
No.
All right, seeing none, I'm gonna go ahead and call the vote. So we have a motion by Mary and a second by Tracy to select the Fall Creek with Mound playground equipment with the approval of the funding plan as presented. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Opposed. Okay, motion carries. Thanks again for your work on this, and let's stay in touch on how to get the word out. Okay, our next item is discussion and action on a proposed extension of lease with Bayfield County for the Hillside Communications Tower on Woodland Avenue. That is tab 9 of your packet.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mary, second by Tom. Any questions, comments, or discussion?
Mark Cable's Allison is here too, if there are any questions.
I thought I spotted him back there.
He was here.
Does anyone have any questions? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Next item is presentation and discussion on room tax collections and expenditures for 2023. And our room tax commission chairwoman, Mary McGrath, will be presenting.
Okay, as you can see on the first pie chart, Bayview, 17.9% monies from them. Washburn City, 82.1%. The numbers, percentages relate to the numbers that are listed in the chart below that. As you will see, it is an increase of 3%. I would just note that most all of the money comes in the third quarter, which would be, what is that, July, August, September. It gets paid in October, and we see it in November. So it's kind of tough when your biggest chunk of money comes in at that time. But moving on to the back of that page, you will see the percentages being spent. Okay, categories of the spending, the percentage, the notes that you see, and the difference over 22. So that would be, again, the only one I would note would be the radio. That is 100%, and that is not going to be renewed for 2024. And then down at branding, that's 100% there, and that was a one-time spend. You might notice in events, an increase of the 41%. SVBT, Superior Vista Bike Tour. Washburn now leads that up with the bike group. This, what is the name? Marika can help me. Yes, thank you. Because the Ashland Chamber dropped out. They used to take on registrations and over online pre-registrations and day of. So they have stepped away from that. You'll see then the room tax that was paid was that $110.76. 51% of the room tax paid to the Washburn Chamber was spent at, or 51% is $56,139. The chamber spent $66,496. That is above and beyond the 51% required by $10,357. That requirement being events and advertising and meetings, everything you see listed up here that put heads in beds, as they say. You may be concerned about where does the other 49% go. The 49% goes into salaries, rent, and everything associated with employment fees. Employment taxes, your, like, yes, thank you, those. And then the third one just brings out the income. And again, it is the memberships, well, it's self-explanatory, you see the percentages there. So, any questions?
Wait, that's the income or the expenditures?
Yeah, on the last pie?
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be the percent of I believe that would be the percent of income. No? No, it wouldn't. That would be the memberships or 7.7 billboard that's out there. The part of that is, yeah. Events put out is the 19. Production was filming, print materials. So this is the expenditures.
Is it
of the 51%?
Okay.
Yes.
Same chart as in a pipeline.
Yeah.
Yes.
Or of the whole 66,496 that was spent?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so this is the.
Marika's been online with us, so.
Is there any, breakdown, or did you already say what the other percent was spent on?
Okay, the remaining 49% is spent on, but not broken down, but is spent on the rent and salaries and expenses that come with salaries. And as Bill puts it, overhead of management.
Sorry, can you just say that last thing again? I couldn't hear you.
Overhead of management, or management
Oh, got
overhead. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Does anyone have questions for Mary?
Okay.
I just have one.
Yeah.
The digital marketing, is there, how do we,
You're wondering what that entails, or?
Yeah, like what's involved in the digital marketing?
A lot of the digital marketing, in my experience though, Dave, I'm going back to some of my time there, it comes in with formulas when you're, just say like the AAA. We know how many people are coming from the state, we know how many people are coming from out of state, we know how many people are coming from farther out than that. So it's all information that feeds back to the chamber, which either validates or not if it's worth doing. So.
And I see Marika made a comment in the chat that she can't hear, so if everyone could just be sure to speak up and speak in the microphone, please.
Okay.
And then the print marketing, is that the visitor guide?
That would be the biggest part of the print, yes. And they just came in.
Okay.
Any other questions? Seeing none, thank you very much for the information. And we will move on. Okay, next item is discussion and action on sidewalk between 3rd Avenue East and 8th Avenue East for Phase 2 of the Bayfield Street project. That is tab 11 of your packet.
I would make a motion not to put sidewalks between 3rd Avenue East and 8th Avenue East in the Phase 2 part. That would be, for most of us knowing, it's heading east and it's the south side of Highway 15.
I'll second that.
Was that Jared seconding?
Yes.
Okay, so motion by Mary, second by Jared to not have sidewalks between 3rd Avenue East and 8th Avenue East. Any questions, comments, or discussion?
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear. What was you saying about the south side? Was there some kind of discussion on the south side of something?
Well, that kind of goes back. Well, that kind of goes back to what we talked about last month, because there are some existing sidewalks on the north side. And we were talking about if we didn't put any sidewalks along there, oh yeah, I guess I don't have to say south, it would be no sidewalks at all, because those that are there would exist and there'd be no other ones put in. Yeah.
But the ones that are there that exist, how far down do those go?
They're broken up to somewhere around the entrance to Memorial Park. What is that?
They are actually intermittent, and some are buried between Superior Avenue in the north and Superior Avenue in the south. So they're intermittent all the way down.
So that there is currently sidewalks on the south side of Highway 13, right around Superior Avenue?
No, the north side.
No,
the north
But
side.
between North Superior Avenue and South Superior Avenue. So where it goes out to the north, where the Center project would be, there's some buried sidewalks there.
I mean, I know of full sidewalks all the way down to Superior Avenue only on the north side. All the way down, Clays right up the tree. They may be buried now, but they're there. But not on the south side. They never have.
Correct.
So that's what we're talking about, putting them on the south side or?
No, I think it's the north side that we're talking about. So my question for Scott is this. If we say, no, we don't want to have sidewalks to 8th Avenue, does that mean they're not going to replace the ones that are already existing
Correct.
to 6th or whatever?
We know that there will be nothing replaced from 3rd Avenue going to the east.
Okay.
They were not going to replace those anyway. So the only thing that they would do is if we wanted to change the profile of the road and add curb and gutter going down to 8th, we would be eliminating the gully, the trench, the ditch, and putting in curb and gutter, and then there would be a new sidewalk profile.
So they would, yeah, they don't want to replace them as they are currently.
Correct, because, and the state wouldn't do it because in that area, they do not need to dig out that far.
Sure, okay. So the motion is to not. Go ahead.
Between 3rd Avenue East and where the housing unit is, there is a swamp in there, or marsh, however you want to put it, on the north side. There's no way you can run sidewalks there.
And there isn't currently.
No. There hasn't been ever that I know
Hey, Tom, can you say what you're saying again?
of. On the north side of Highway 13, between 3rd Avenue East and the Bayfield County housing that's right there, there is a marsh or swamp, as you want to put it, on the north side of the highway, and there's never been a sidewalk there. Never.
There's like it's kind of, I drove down there today, got out and walked around a little bit. Tom's right. I mean, that was gonna be one of my questions is, so if nothing's done there with the curb and gutter, is it just gonna continue to be like because there's a pretty good ditch there right now. Is that how it would continue to be?
With the current motion, that is how it would continue to be.
And are we having any issues with that?
We have no known issues.
Yeah, I just guess I've never seen any issues, but there is like a cattail, there is a pretty nice little swamp, and I don't know what the culvert, I don't know if there's a culvert there or what that looks like, but.
I don't think there is. My kids never said they found one there, so.
Okay, so our motion is to not put sidewalks in. Does anyone else have questions or comments?
I just have a question. If the Scenair housing project is gonna happen, it sounds like there's hope that there is, because there's some additional monies that came to fruition recently, last 24 hours. Just choosing not to put sidewalks in makes sense if this big housing project goes in. Would there need to be sidewalks that would support walkers from that project?
That is the reason it was put in for, so.
Right, so why would we take it out if a housing project is gonna more than likely happen? And we're looking at.
So it's not that we're gonna take it out, it's just that we would not necessarily replace it because the DOT would not replace it without putting in curb and gutter, and that would be at our expense. Because they don't have to go down that far, is the other part of it, with the project. So this is all new spending that's all ours, if we're gonna do this.
I would like to clarify that comment.
Sure, go ahead, please.
So if curb and gutter goes in, that the DOT is estimating that to be about $1 million additional cost. And under the current 80-20 arrangement, the state would pay $800,000 and the city would pay $200,000. Just so everyone is clear on that.
Hey, Scott?
Go ahead, Jen.
You said that like with the current arrangement, out of a 1 million project, they pay 800,000, we pay 200? Is that what you just said?
Correct.
Well, and that was gonna be one of my questions is like, if you don't do it now, we're probably never gonna do it, which I'm not saying we don't ever wanna do it. I always think about stormwater runoff in the future. I'm just not an engineer, so I just don't know, like, if you leave it as is with a ditch and how that works. I don't know.
Don't fix it, it's not broken.
This would also push the project to 2028 as a potential, or is that a threat?
That is currently a threat, but if you don't make a decision tonight on this, I think that it becomes highly likely.
Well, and I also think that if you were to do something there, it would really go into people's yards too. Like, to be able to do something there is gonna take some pretty, I guess, I feel like some big excavation or something, so, I don't know. To me, if the natural ditch line is working, we have any issues there, we can hedge our bets and continue that way, but.
Yes.
And that would retain the more rural character. Any other questions or comments? If seeing none, we'll go ahead and vote on the motion, which is to not put sidewalks between 3rd and 8th Avenue East. All in favor of that motion?
Aye.
I'm abstaining.
Who was that, Tracy? I'm
Tracy, yeah.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries to not put the sidewalks in. Okay, moving on. Discussion and action on request for purchase of UTV for water and sewer utilities. Well, tab 12 of your packet. Is there a motion on this?
So moved.
I'll second it.
Motion by Mary, second by Tracy. Any questions, comments, or discussion? Sounds like it makes sense. Seeing no questions, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next item, discussion and action on expenditure of park designated fund for archaeological study for Thompson's West End Campground Expansion Project.
I'll make the motion.
Tab 13. Sorry, go ahead.
I'll make the motion to accept that.
Second.
Motion by Tom, second by Mary. Sounds like this is sort of a necessity. Any questions? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next is the discussion and action on proposed ADA grievance policy. Tab 14 of your packet.
Motion to approve.
Second.
That was a motion by Mary, and the second was?
Jared.
Jared, thank you. Any questions? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And finally, our discussion and action on authorization of notice for Class A beer and Class A liquor licenses to Dolgan Corp LLC DBA Dollar General Store, number 25335 at 1047 West Bayfield Street, Jessica Allen, agent. Let's see. So this is an authorization of notice. So it's just the beginning of the process. Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to accept as is.
To authorize the notice to go out?
Yes.
Okay, motion by Tracy,
I'll second that.
second by Jared. Any questions? I'm assuming we don't have any limit to the number of these that can go out?
Not for the resale, the Class A's, no.
Okay. Any other questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And with that, our business is concluded and we are adjourned. Thank you, everyone. Have a good night.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Is there any way that ordinance that's banning that one breed can be changed?
Yeah, it all
It's
came
not
up,
the breed, it's freaking ordinance.
that all came up for discussion, and
Why not?
I was discussing it right then.